This is a 50-30 constructed game played at Portland Game Store in Portland, Oregon. Up top is my friend Jesse playing a Pathfinder deck, and then I'm playing a Sorcerer Aggro deck at the bottom. I believe what Jesse said was that his Pathfinder deck is configured to sort of be like a Pathfinder Aggro deck. And he's still kind of just playing around with it. He is tuning it to try to specifically deal with Archimago and box in sights to prevent 8 mana for a Crater Eyes. I won the die roll here for turn, and I took the play. Played a Ruins to start. Pathfinder is going to play an Observatory, look at the top 3 cards on the deck, and Jesse's just considering his reorders. Cards go back on top. Pass turn, he doesn't have a 1-drop. My turn, I'm going to draw a sight for turn. And I do have, looks like a Sinkhole in hand, which is pretty explosive start for an aggro deck. Gonna play Funeral Pyre and play the Falconers to pull the bats and summon them for free out of my deck. I don't get the Genesis on my Funeral Pyre, but again, like when I see the matchup with Pathfinder, it is not a huge issue. The state of the game right now with the sets that are out, the only things that you really have to worry about fishing out of graveyards are going to be if you're playing against Archimago or you're playing against Death Speaker. So Jesse's gonna play the Pathfinder ability to play his sight out, and it looked like it was a River of Flame. And then he's going to opt to path out and meet me in the middle here. And again, it is an aggro Pathfinder deck. So you see that he's going to play out. He's going to play out a Warhorse. So he steps and moves with his Pathfinder. He plays the Warhorse onto the River of Flame. He carries his avatar with the Warhorse, and then he uses the Warhorse's charge ability to attack my Funeral Pyre. So that's going to be 2 points of damage in, and it's going to give him a reposition on the Pathfinder. So at this point, I'm going to draw a spell for turn. And looking at my hand, I think I have a Colicky Dragonets in my hand. I don't have any other minions at this point. I think I have an Infiltrate and a Poison Nova. And those are more mid to late game cards. The Falconer is going to attack in for 1 point onto the Warhorse. The bats are going to attack the River of Flame for 2. And because I have the Colicky Dragonet in my hand, that's going to deal the last point of damage at end of turn when it fires its projectile to the Warhorse. So now I'm going to play that out, and I'm just thinking about positioning here. And I end up playing it on that Sinkhole that I played out, which I think was a bit of a misplay. I honestly, I should have just played it onto the Funeral Pyre. I still would have been able to ping the Warhorse at the end of turn, and it would have put the Colicky Dragonets into a better position to be able to attack into what will likely be Jesse's next site placement with the Pathfinder. I think I should have tapped for, not tapped, but I should have activated the sinkhole and blown up the River of Flame site on that last turn. I just opted to not for some reason. I don't remember if I just forgot to do it or if specifically I was trying to hold for 4 mana. I think I might have been trying to hold for 4 mana in this case, since I had the Infiltrate in my hand, and I wanted the option to play it if he managed to sneak something out that was going to be a problem for me. So Jesse plays the site and moves, and then he attempts to play Hamlet Ablaze, and then I think we catch this when I start my next turn, but he doesn't have Threshold to cast that yet. It is 2 fire Threshold in order to get that out, and unfortunately he was not he did not top deck that second fire site. Looking at my hand now, the spell that I drew for turn looks like Gyre Hippogriffs, so I'm going to attack with the bats for 2, and now we realize that the Hamlet can't be out there. Hamlet's Ablaze can't be out there, so we just return that back to his hand. I move the Colicky Dragonets onto the Funeral Pyre site, and then pop the Sinkhole to destroy his River of Flame. So now he has no fire threshold at his disposal. And then I tap for a Gothic Tower and play Gyre Hippogriffs out. I don't really get the benefit from the extra mana from the tower this turn, but it's still a pretty good play to get the Hippogriffs out. As you can see, like I was talking about before, the positioning when I summoned the Dragonets was a bit of a misplay, because if I had played them on the Funeral Pyre, I would have been able to attack in for an additional 3 points of damage on this turn. And at the end of the turn, the Dragonets also shot the projectile and pinged the Pathfinder for 1. Jess is going to choose to blink to draw a card and reposition his Pathfinder, and then he's going to tap to pull a site off. It is a Ruins. And he's going to choose to play it over the Rebel to get a site back onto the middle of the board. So I drew a spell for turn. Looks like I drew a Warhorse. And I'm going to attack in. At this point, I'm attacking in for a lot of damage here. This is like 2, 3, and 3. So 8 points on this turn. I cast the Warhorse for another 2 to bring him to 2. And then I tap for a spell, because I want to be set up with 5 mana on next turn, just in case, or at least have the option for 5 mana next turn. Jess is going to pull a card, site with the Pathfinder. It's a red desert. I think he ends up not choosing a site, or just pings the desert itself, because he doesn't really have a minion target that he can take advantage of. And he's in a tough spot right now, just because there are so many threats on the board. He needs a way to board wipe here at this point to do a huge removal. But he is resource limited too. He's down to 4 mana right now, and he only has 1 fire threshold, which I think is really limiting kind of his options at this point. He plays out a Sandworm just so we can have, I think, a blocker. And then he's going to pass turn. So he's assessing, like, I think he's assessing his hand and his board state here. And it might be at this point where he just concedes the game. Which, you know, we like to, when you play a game of sorcery, it's good to kind of, you know, don't give up, keep playing, but ultimately, like, you know what's in your hand, you know what answers could be in your deck, and if you don't see a way out of like a possible checkmate situation, then yeah, sometimes you just scoop the game and, you know, move on, and we play another one or something like that. But yeah, it was a pretty good game. I think there were probably some more optimal plays that I could have made with my deck, and unfortunately I think Jesse's deck, the Pathfinder, it just didn't fire for him correctly or fast enough to deal with the aggro that I had. See you in the next one.